If you're hearing this, there's a good chance you've been narcissistically abused. And I'm here to bring some clarity, some coherence to what happened. Collapse is not the end, it's the beginning of you. Chances are you felt it. That moment when the floor of your life gave way, when the relationship, the family, the fantasy, all of it shattered. And what was left was you staring into the void, thinking, I don't know who I am anymore. Well, let me tell you something with absolute certainty. That moment was not the end of you. It was the beginning. What you called you was never yours. Before collapse, many of us lived through masks, roles we didn't realize we were performing. We were the caregiver, the fixer, the rescuer, the peacekeeper, the redeemer. We played our part in a shared fantasy that seemed real, but was built on control, projection, and survival. We didn't know it, but we were mirroring someone else's world, not living in our own. So when that world breaks, when betrayal hits so hard it stops time, when the lies fall away and you see what they really were, it doesn't just break your heart, it breaks the mirror. And that's when the real self, the one you buried to survive, begins to surface. Collapse isn't ego death, it's ego formation. In MPIT, we call this moment collapse induced psychotic regression, CIPR. It feels like madness, like nothing inside of you makes sense. But it's not madness, it's symbolic birth. And here's why. The false self cracks open. You fall into the raw truth of your emotional body. The voices inside, shame, rage, grief, and silence, they start to speak. You begin to feel like more than just a role or a reaction. This isn't you losing your mind, it's you meeting it for the first time. It's the moment your psyche stops surviving for others and starts forming around your own truth. This is not ego death, this is ego formation, finally authored by you. The narcissist can't collapse, you can. Here's the critical truth. The narcissist very rarely, if ever, collapses, not like this. They can't. Their entire internal world is built to avoid the very thing you're walking through, the pain, the memory, the fracture, the truth. They wear a casing they can't remove. They rehearse instead of relate. They simulate instead of feel. Their collapse when it comes is an injury, not a rebirth. But you break open. You spiral, not loop. You fall inward. And that's where healing begins. Collapse is individuation. Most trauma models tell you collapse is something to recover from. But in MPIT, we say collapse is not what happens to the self, it is how the self is born. From the moment you were a child, you weren't just trying to attach, you were trying to become. That urge to move, crawl, explore, speak, love, that was your psyche trying to individuate. But if you grew up in a narcissistic environment, your becoming was interrupted. Your self was mirrored, not met. Your truth was silenced or co opted. Your boundaries were punished. So when you finally collapse, when the fantasy dies and the casing shatters, your psyche returns to that original task. It picks up where it left off. It begins to form you again, this time from the inside out. You're not breaking down, you're breaking through. So when you feel like you're falling apart, remember this. This is not regression, it's retrieval. This is not disintegration, it's differentiation. This is not the loss of who you are, It is the beginning of who you truly are becoming. This is the organizing gate. This is where the fragments speak. This is where your symbolic self begins to form, not perform. And most of all, this is yours, and no one can take it from you now. And here's a reminder: collapse is not an ego death. It is the first moment the ego is yours. You're not lost. You're finally on the map. Not theirs, yours. Peace out. Loads of love.